on the Texas A&M Sports Network from Learfield. Welcome to the Aggie Football Hour, brought to you by Capital Farm Credit, a leader in agricultural financing. Also brought to you in part by Coors Light, Mountain Cold Refreshment. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Visit rudys.com to find real Texas barbecue near you. Twisted Tea, hard iced tea for the 12th man. Please drink responsibly. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas. Through it all. And by Capital Farm Credit. Together, we're better. Now, the Aggie Football Hour, brought to you by Capital Farm Credit, a leader in agricultural financing. Here's the voice of the Aggies, Andrew Monaco.
Fighting Texas Aggies now ranked number 16, 2-0 after the 44-22 win over Utah State on Saturday. Time to go on the road and take on Notre Dame this Saturday evening. 6:30 is the kick, the Aggies and the Irish, as we kick off the Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. Howdy, Coach. How are you?
Howdy. I'm good.
Good. Let's get right into this, and I'm not burying the lead this time.
Why not?
Ready?
Ready.
Because normally I've done that. Hey, Cassius Howe was pretty good Saturday, huh?
Yeah, he did okay. It was, obviously, we talked a lot about him this offseason and his growth, and he was one of the reasons why we were optimistic about what we could do this year on the defensive line, and we just felt like he had some twitch and some ability to rush the passer, and we thought that would really show. I don't know that I thought it would show like that, but, obviously he's a guy that we're trying to free up, and it was good to see him get a couple opportunities on Saturday.
Mike, he gets the 3 in a row. The very next day, Myles Garrett gets 2 out of 3, and Myles says after the game, I was just channeling my inner Cassius Howe. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
No, it is. And it's part of, I think it's part of what we're trying to build, and in order for us to really be the program we want to be, it's us making sure we're keeping track of what our guys in the NFL are doing. You like the fact that our NFL guys are paying attention to what our guys are doing, and really trying to interconnect this thing at a really high level. And so
he was your defensive player of the game.
He was
on Saturday.
He kind of cemented that one with the third sack. It was funny though, because I didn't even realize it. Like you don't in the game, you don't even realize what's happening. You're so focused on like down and distance and what's the next play and what do we got to call. And then when he got the sack on third down, it like hits you. It's like, wait a minute, did he just sack the quarterback like the whole drive? And and so I think once that third sack hit, I think he was pretty locked in as the player of the game. So a lot of got national awards too, which was good to see.
National awards,
really good to see.
And then the SEC honored him as well. I saw, because my first thought was, it's similar to an immaculate inning in baseball when the pitcher 9 consecutive. And then I read somewhere, someone said it's an immaculate possession.
Yeah.
I'm like, I like that an awful lot.
I would be interested. I've asked a lot of my colleagues, a lot of my friends that I've talked to this week, like, have you ever been part of that? And I haven't found anyone who's been part of that before. So I'd be interested to see how many times it's actually happened. Just incredible. But I couldn't help but think about that entire D-line. You had the praise for TJ Searcy for the game that he had. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I know Scooby's a linebacker. He affected. And then Sam Mpemba at the end of that game forces the turnover. He not only forced the fumble, he recovered it as well. It's really nice to see that D-line have that effect, isn't it? Yeah. Obviously, that was a big question mark was, one, would we be okay? And two, through being okay, would we be able to generate enough four-man rush pressure and do some of the things that we wanted to do last year, maybe even a little bit better? And, I think that was just a good step. Obviously, we've got bigger challenges on the horizon, but it was a good first step for sure. When I ask you this, with Cassius last year, and Nick got so much attention, and the Shamars got so much attention, he's now at the top of the scouting report now, correct? For other teams. That's part of his adjustment. Are you seeing him adjusting to that? Because he's going to get different looks than he's had in the past, will he not? Yeah, and I think after last week now, even more so. I think, obviously we believe he's a pass rusher, and we believe that he's a kid who can do some things. I think now that'll be a little bit more apparent to teams that we play and opponents that scout us. And so I think the variety of looks is probably coming even a little bit more fast and furious here here in the next couple of weeks. But I do think this, and this is the one thing, and I've tried to say this. This is now going on year 6 of me trying to explain this. It is so hard to pressure those quarterbacks sometimes in the games like that because UTSA certainly did. I think even Utah State did to a degree, and then tried to stretch the field, and that's how we got the sacks. But they just get rid of the ball so quick in those games. Like it's literally feels like it's like catch and release. And so I think part of the nice thing about moving into now Notre Dame and then SEC play is people will sit back in the pocket. They'll try to push the ball down the field. Those things it'll get a little bit more like normal football for those D linemen.
Your offensive player of the week, Marcel Reed. Another terrific. He's just stacking performances, isn't he?
He is. And this is obviously the way he wanted to start, the way we hoped he would start. We had a lot of confidence and faith in the progress he made. We talked a lot about it this offseason, and it's just good for him to see him come out and play 2 really clean games and got his feet going a little bit more this week, got the downfield passing game. We had explosive plays in both games. It was nice that they happened in a couple different ways. We were able to push the ball downfield a little bit more in this game, which was good to see, and he was able to connect on a couple deep balls, and then the one to Terry Bussey was obviously a great route by Terry and a good ball, and I think those things are really critical for us as we move forward.
And as loud as Kyle can get, that's as quiet as he got as he lay on that turf.
Yeah. I walked out there, I told him get up, you'll be fine. So.
And he did. He listened.
He did. He listened and he got up. Yeah. Marcel. Yeah, obviously he took a good hit, but Marcel's a tough kid and he'll bounce back.
Okay, so my question to you and my question to him will be: these guys all play baseball. Slide, not head first.
Yeah, so it's interesting. No, but here's a good one for the fans and the people to hear. You can't slide feet first in the game anymore because when you slide feet first, you give up 3 yards.
Right.
Because
because it's where the rump is, where you start the slide. Where you start the slide.
It's not even where your rump is. So you start the slide, and you literally where you end, they basically move the ball backwards 3 yards. And so some of those. So what we've always taught, and we've taught this since I've been a head coach, is like this angle dive to just kind of angle dive yourself out of the way, but out of the way, like not into the guy or into traffic, like out of the way. I think that was the thing that we wanted to make sure he understood was, kind of get out of the way of the people. So it wasn't the most athletic dive that he's ever put together.
But you don't want to take that want to out of him either, right?
No, it's funny because I don't know that I've ever designed it this way. Obviously, I think there's a tremendous benefit to having a dual threat quarterback and a kid who can move the chains with his legs and with his arm, and I think that matters a lot and is really helpful. I inherited Riley Leonard at Duke. Yes. I inherited Marcel Reed here, and so it's not like I went out and targeted those types of guys, but both kids were very similar in that one of their biggest strengths is their ability to improvise and make things happen when plays break down, and they are so athletic. And so what you're trying to do is get them to understand when to push it for extra yards, when to protect your body, when to go down, when to get out of the way, when to just throw a ball away, even when the 2-yard scramble's not even worth it, just throw the ball away. And so I think as he continues to get more and more comfortable, I think that obviously will be the next evolution of it. And sometimes how it goes, you have to learn painful lessons in order to learn, and he'll remember that hit he took, and I think that'll help him moving forward, try to avoid some of that stuff.
We've just gotten started. It's the Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko, and it is presented by Capital Farm Credit. Come on back to Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. This is Aggie Football from Learfield. Howdy, Ags. Play the Texas Lottery today for your chance to win exciting prizes. And remember, luck happens to people like Martin Guerra, who keep a lookout for chances to win from the Texas Lottery. Martin won Texas A&M prizes, and you could too. Texas Lottery supports Texas education and veterans. Scratch 'em tickets and gig 'em. Already checking in from outside of Texas, Grand Island, Nebraska, and Savannah, Georgia. Inside the state of Texas, we have Hallettsville, Harker Heights, Timpson, Lubbock, Queen City. But the first person to check in behind the mic on Facebook, hey from mom, says Carol.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's on early tonight.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, the absolute first, and she's already
It's 50-50. She came on and typed something and then left. So just for the record, sometimes she likes to just win and then disappear.
Gotcha. So I'm just going to look. If I'm not ignoring you, I'm just going to look every once in a while just to see if she has a comment for you.
We'll see.
Absolutely. We continue. It's the Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko, and it's presented by Capital Farm Credit. We talked about the offensive players, defensive players of the game, and your special teamer was Terry Bussey. And
speaking of Timpson.
Yeah, speaking of Timpson, that's exactly right. That was a real neat segment, I thought, on the Pulse last week, was talking about the players from the small towns. Yeah. Terry was one of them. Timpson, Ruben, El Campo, and other ones. Hitchcock.
I remember. I know Hitchcock. Did we talk to Chiatti about Jasper?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. I know it's a different day and age in 2025, but Mike, if you can play, colleges will find you, correct?
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the things that for sure has happened over my time as a coach is the ability to identify talent has just become so global. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't even say national. I would literally say global. And, there's so much access you have to film. I can sit in my office and I can watch high school game tape from anywhere in the country. And so you can, with effort and energy, you can find prospects anywhere. And so and I said this on, I don't know what, I didn't get a chance to watch the episode, but I know I said this when I was talking to Will. The cool thing about the state of Texas is how many of those small town big light football programs there actually are, and as we were kind of going through it, like who are we going to identify? There's you got Lexington, you got Shiner, you got East Texas, you got so many of those small town big lights, and it's just a cool part of Texas high school football, and obviously we try to find all the kids in those areas that we can. Houston and Dallas are so important in this state, but there's something about, like, if I say to you, you're going to know exactly he's an East Texas kid. Oh, that's a West Texas kid. Like, they have their own, I don't want to say stereotype, but you know exactly what you're getting with those kids, don't you? For sure. And we're gonna scour the state, and we certainly don't value anywhere over any other area. And Houston and Dallas get such a big reputation and have so much population and numbers of prospects. But if you look at the history of college football in the state of Texas, or who has gone on to be the great players in the state of Texas, you can dive into a lot of small towns and find a lot of really good Aggies throughout our history. And I think that's just a big part of what you have to continue to cultivate as you're going through recruiting and building a roster here. You have talked about in your different stops in your coaching career what you had to do while you were at Bowling Green and when you worked with Coach Clausen. But when you got to Notre Dame, that's a national program. Here at Texas A&M, yes, it's a Texas school, but it's also a national brand as well. Did that time at Notre Dame help you identify that there are national programs, and now you're working at one of those national brands? Yeah, I think so. And it's not to take away from or disrespect, any of the other schools I was at before that. But, I've always said that Brian Kelly gave me my first opportunity to get into the big-time element of college football, right? Where it means a little bit more, where the stadiums are a little bit more filled, where the recruiting profile is a little bit larger, and then obviously Coach Fisher bringing me down here to be part of Texas A&M and all of that. It's a different animal in so many ways, and going through those experiences for 5 years as a coordinator certainly helped prepare me to become the head coach that I am right now, and have a really good feel and understanding for what this whole thing is all about. I'll give you a real funny story. Since my wife is sitting over here, and I don't even know if she's paying attention right now, but this is a funny story. So when I get to Notre Dame, we got hired, Clark Lee and I got hired right after our bowl game, and so we show up in January, and it's during the dead period of recruiting, and we're trying to figure out where we're going to go. And there happens to be this kid out in Hawaii who's a defensive tackle. And they're like, hey, we're going to send you out there. This is a really good kid. We got to go get him. We want to send you out to Hawaii. And so I get on the phone with Michelle, and I'm like, hey, just so you know, I think they're sending me out to Hawaii. And the phone dropped, and there was this eerie silence on the other end of the line. And so I kind of put the phone away, and I went back to the recruiting office. I said, yeah, I think you're going to have to send someone else out to Hawaii, because if I go without my wife, I might not have a wife anymore. And so that's when I found out it was a national brand, but my wife still ran the show in our household. What did you say?
and still no Hawaii. She says, you know what? Might be a really good time to take a break.
I think this summer might be an excellent time. No, so okay, good. We're getting into a left turn here a little bit, but let me just answer the no Hawaii for all the fans in the room. So we have a son who started playing travel baseball about 8 years ago, and that is why we have not been to Hawaii. It is not because of me. It is because we play travel baseball from the time I start vacation in the summer to the time I end vacation in the summer. And then somewhere around like August, their family's like, hey, we're free now. You want to go somewhere? And I'm like, yeah, I'm a little busy. So I just want to make sure that that's not all my fault.
Not at all. This is the Aggie. I'm stopping here. I'm taking a break. This is the Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. Come on back. This is Aggie Football from Learfield. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance wants to give you a VIP Aggie basketball fan experience this year. Go to 12thman.com/maroon contest and register. One winner and a guest will receive game tickets, a VIP tour of Reed Arena, and you'll be recognized on the video board during the game. Register today. 12thman.com/maroon contest. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance is a proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. Normally, we read the 12th fan trip for courtesy of Texas Farm Bureau Insurance. But they're going with us on Saturday, and I still don't know who it is, but they will be in South Bend on Saturday.
Good. Well, we'll see them there.
Absolutely. And they will, they're going to be decked out.
Yeah.
They're going to be decked out. You talked about your time there at Notre Dame. I've said this, and maybe I've said this to you as well. I think Kyle Field is one of those bucket list type college stadiums. The atmosphere. Is Notre Dame one of those as well?
Yeah, I think maybe for a different kind of way, and that's not to say anything about the atmosphere, but like there's a history and tradition around it, and the game day walk in and around the pond that's in front of Touchdown Jesus, getting over to the grotto, just the feel of that stadium. And you as a college football fan my whole life, there's a certain level of history and tradition you feel when you walk around there. And so I think it's a really, really unique place, and it's going to be a great trip.
We talk about this. Matt, when you come to Texas A&M and you're going to play an SEC schedule, and as you say, here's what's in front of us, and that's an SEC championship, and that's college football playoff, and that's a championship, the national champion. Games like this as well for Notre Dame is why you come to a school like this if you're a player, correct?
Yeah, for sure. I think, and it's what you become accustomed to a little bit in our league. And, it's not to disregard anything, but, you play a lot of big road games. You play a lot of big games in this conference. We hosted College Game Day twice last year. We won 2 games against top 10 teams last year when College Game Day wasn't even involved. Like, that's what it means to play football at Texas A&M, and so this is obviously a big stage and a big opportunity, and our kids are really fired up for it and have a ton of respect for Coach Freeman and everything that they do at Notre Dame. But I said this to somebody earlier in the week, this is one of many, right? This is not the only one on our schedule. And so, again, I think that's what makes this conference a little bit different. It doesn't give you any advantage in this game, but that you have, we've got probably 7 of these coming down the pipe. And so kids get excited for them, and it's a big part of what we do.
I'm asking this, I usually don't ask questions in the first half, but I am going to ask this question. Right off the bat. You ready?
I'm ready, I think.
Is Irish Spring soap banned in the locker room this week?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. So I'm an Irish Spring soap guy, and so I have Irish Spring soap in my shower, and it didn't even dawn on me until I read that question. And so the truth of the matter is no, and maybe that's just a little selfish and a little personal.
Yeah, but never, ever doubt the 12th man coming up with a question.
That's a great one. That's a great one.
I'm actually keeping this one.
You should. Yeah. You should. That's going in the Hall of Fame of questions.
The world famous bridge is next.
Okay.
So this is where Mike goes out and meets everybody. And when we come back, the 12th man, Nana Boede-Owusu, he's going to talk about Terry Price. Anytime you can get the 12th man and TP together.
It's a great story. At a barbecue place, right? Where else would you rather talk about TP than at a barbecue place?
No better place than that. So the bridge is next. This is the Aggie Football Hour. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. He's head coach Mike Elko. I'm Andrew Monaco. Stay with us. This is Aggie Football from Learfield. The Bridge is brought to you by Capital Farm Credit, the largest agricultural lender in Texas. Capital Farm Credit, together, we're better. I always tell you, it's the best thing I heard all week. It's the 12th man, Nana Boedi-Owusu, who remembers Coach Terry Price.
Do you still hear Terry Price's voice?
Oh, of course. That never goes away. You know, we still talk about his cooking. That's one thing I feel bad for the new D linemen about. If they ain't never had Terry Price, his steak, or like his oxtails, you ain't never had his oxtails, you missing out on life. And you're just going to have to miss out on life. Because that man right there, one thing Coach Price can do if it wasn't coach, that man could cook.
You absolutely know that Nana, the emphasis that he put on every time he talked about Terry, he did it like this. That man could cook. And when he said oxtails. Hey, an entire conversation with the 12th man, Nana. He talks about being the 12th man for the second consecutive year. He talks about his time with NASA, his superhero mom. He talks about his teammates. That is on Conversations, which you can get on 12thman.com, and a portion of that will run during our pregame show. 5:30 is when we get the Memorial Hermann pregame show started on Saturday ahead of the Aggies and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Thanks to the generosity of 12th Man Foundation donors, Aggie student-athletes have the resources to succeed at Texas A&M and beyond. Start your tradition of support today at 12thmanfoundation.com. The second half hour of the Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko, presented by Capital Farm Credit, is next. This is Aggie Football from Learfield. Aggies score a taste touchdown at your next tailgate with Hellmann's Real Mayonnaise, the official mayonnaise of Texas A&M Athletics. Do dip with Hellmann's and do no wrong. The Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko is presented by Capital Farm Credit, and it rolls on from Rudy's. They have checked in from outside of Texas in Columbus, Ohio. I'm saving that best one for last. Front Royal, Virginia, inside Texas. Ooh, I'm sorry. Ooh, Diane, you're going to have to help me on this one in Washington. Puyallup? Don't know if that's it. Cisco, Texas, Waxahachie, Smithville, Temple, Tyler, La Mesa, Plainview, Pittsburgh, Belton, and Rip Arbella Volterra has checked in. Howdy from the Italy A&M Club. We are in the house.
Oh, Italy, how we doing tonight?
Hawaii, Italy, or both?
I mean, the boss said both.
Yeah, I was just going to say. So this is what we learned, that at the pizzeria in Tuscany, they are now gathering, including the mayor. They gather Aggie games. I don't know if they understand a word Dave, Will, and I are saying,
but they're watching and listening.
There's like over 100 that gather there, the A&M Club.
That is amazing.
Isn't that cool?
No, it is.
Yeah.
It is. And obviously, we thank you for the support out there. And it's the more you dive into what it means to be an Aggie, what the reach of this university is, and the former students that attended this university, it's a really, really special place in the community, and the bonds they run really deep.
Not to make this too deep of a thing, but in 2025, and we can talk about NIL and all this, but that matters. And do you find that matters to your recruits and to your players? That matters here at Texas A&M, and really it's as well-rounded as you've always talked about and embraced this university. Does it still matter to student athletes?
Yeah, I think so. I think the student-athlete experience matters a lot. I think the support of the former students and the support of the Texas A&M fan base matters a lot. And I think there's a lot of kids that get very, very interested in being an Aggie for life and all of the benefits that come along with that. And I've said this so repeatedly, and it's not to say NIL is not a piece of recruiting, because that would be a very naive statement. But when you're at a place like Texas A&M, where fortunately you do have resources to compete from an NIL standpoint, it still feels a lot like recruiting. It still feels like you have to convince people that this is the right school for them to go to, and all of those things factor in.
And You and your staff and the players, because players recruit players, you've got to bring the right guys in to Texas A&M, correct?
I think so. I think so. And I've felt as though that was the recipe and the ingredients we were trying to put together when we built this thing, when we recruited it. Again, there's still a lot of work to be done, and we haven't accomplished anything yet. But I think trying to be extremely intentional about who we bring in here, and I pointed this out to somebody this week, like, it's not a coincidence that a lot of the people we talk about week in and week out are people that we've brought in since I've gotten here, and you're talking a lot about Concepcion and Craver and Cassius Howell, and I've said this in so many instances, kids come in a lot of different shapes and sizes. Some kids are highly regarded, highly recruited kids, and they're really talented. Some kids were playing defensive end at Bowling Green.
Correct. And
then just came here and had 3 sacks in Kyle Field. Mm-hmm. And they make good football players in a lot of different ways. And our job, and Derek Miller's here, and Alan Godet's here, and they're a big part of how it happens. But going out and finding the guys that have the necessary traits to be NFL football players. Right. I was talking to one NFL executive today at the practice field who said it's amazing how much that has changed in our tenure here.
It used to be, right? We would always talk about, you get 28 Saturdays in Kyle Field. That 28 now could be 21 because it might be 3 years and now you want to go to the league. That's an adjustment as well, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's a special place. And I think trying to enjoy every opportunity that you can. And I think that's one of the things. We talk a lot more about now than we ever have in the past, is just like still trying to enjoy this. I've said this a lot, like, you can add anything you want to make this feel more like professional football. You can add NIL, you could add transfer portal, you can add all of these things, agents, all of it. But you can't change the age of the kids that I have. Correct. My kids are still 18 to 21, no matter what you put into it. And there's a lot that goes into being an 18-year-old trying to deal with all of this and trying to make sure that they manage it the right way. Certainly no one feels sorry for them, and nor do we allow them to feel sorry for themselves. But there's a lot that goes into this. It's not just, hey, everything's really, really easy. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of mental stuff that goes into being a really high-performing athlete when you're 19, and all of this stuff is in play for you. And so we spend a lot of time with that stuff.
We will turn our attention to the Aggies' next opponent. That's the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. When we return, it's the Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko, and it is presented by Capital Farm Credit. This is Aggie Football from Learfield. When you need a new roof or just have a pesky leak, you want to call on the winning team at Schulte Roofing, home of the Bulletproof Roof Guarantee. Get the best. Visit SchulteRoofing.com. Ryan Price is the president of the Italy A&M Club. You thought head coach of the Aggies was cool. How about being the
No, I think I'd way rather be the president of the Italian A&M Club.
I don't know if you've had these.
I
but
have.
They are
we got
sweet
these last
paprika.
year.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Fantastic. Only in Italy.
Only?
Yeah. Did you know that? You can't get these over here in the States. These are Italian-specific Pringles.
That he brings to us. Have you had the olive oil yet?
So I'm not an olive oil,
okay.
so I give that to my wife.
Okay.
Yeah, my wife likes the olive oil with the Italian bread.
There are plans being made over there.
There's a lot of plans being made over there.
I don't know.
She's probably bidding on a trip to Italy right now as we speak.
Gotcha. Let's turn our attention to Notre Dame. And open-ended question for you. A Marcus Freeman coached team plays like how?
Yeah, I mean, obviously very well. I think, he's a defensive-minded head coach. There's a certain physicality and swagger that they play with. He was obviously an extremely talented defensive player at Ohio State. I've been crossed paths with Marcus. I wouldn't say him and I are very close, but we've crossed paths a bunch. He was at Kent State when I was at Bowling Green. We share an agent, and so we've crossed paths quite a bit in our careers. And so I think it's always good when you see defensive coaches having success, and he certainly has done a phenomenal job job with his opportunity at Notre Dame, and really has that program at a really high level right now.
I felt, in week one, you're taking on a team, and you talk about the what ifs and how you have to adjust, and then you play Utah State with so many transfers, and there's the old what ifs, and you have to adjust. Now, Notre Dame played in week number 1. They've had 13 days in between. Is the what if still there a little bit, or is there a little more of an identity for this team?
Yeah, I think probably a little bit more of an identity. Obviously there's always the what ifs that go into, how are they going to attack us coming out of a bye week with a little bit more extra prep time, and it gives them an opportunity to really dive in and study us. I'm sure they did quite a bit in the offseason as well, no different than we did them. But I do think there's a lot more familiarity with, Mike Denbrock, and he's been an established offensive coordinator for a really long time, and so you at least have a feel for who he is, what his identity is, what he wants to be. Now, there's a lot of wrinkles, and he's obviously very successful, and that happens because he comes up with really creative things week to week, but at least you have I feel like I have a much more general concept of what we're dealing with, and then playing a team firsthand means a lot, in terms of identifying personnel, being familiar with players. When you actually get on a field with somebody, it's a much, much different feel for who they are and what they're about, and so obviously that familiarity helps a lot too.
A lot of weapons for Denbrock to work with. Also,
Denbrock has a lot of weapons. He does. Yeah, that's. I haven't got a lot of sleep this week trying to figure out how to manage that. But two tailbacks that are phenomenal. I mean, these two tailbacks are as good as I've ever gone up against. I've said that a couple times this week, and they're big, they're powerful, they run extremely hard. They do all of the little things. I think that's one of the things that when I watch them, they play like I want Texas A&M to play. It's, you see a lot of guys doing a lot of things for each other. You see running backs blocking. You see the effort getting down the field, and I think from that regard, it'll be an identity challenge for both teams as they kind of look at each other in the mirror a little bit.
I could probably ask you the same question every week during conference, but it's a line of scrimmage game, is it not?
Yeah, always. I mean, I think that's just football, right? And the thing about football is at the core of it all, right? Strip everything away. It is about physically moving a human being against his will, and that's what it is. And whether you're running the ball, whether you're tackling a ball carrier, whether you're blocking someone, whether you're rushing the passer, at the end of the day, you have a lot of really large human beings trying to move each other against their will, and there's a physicality element of this game that never goes away. And so looking forward to what that challenge will look like Saturday.
Will they play man-to-man defense? Is that part of their identity? And what will Marcel need to recognize out there on the field?
Well, let's see. Did they check in? Did Marcus check in and tell us what they're going to play? I mean, they're an aggressive defense. They played us in a lot of man-to-man last year with some coverage change-ups. They'll do the same this year. Our ability again to create separation, to get open, to deliver the ball on time, to protect, so that the timing of the passing game can stay in rhythm. I think all of those things are going to be huge, and for Marcel, it's just go out there and be yourself. It's going to that field and handle the environment, handle all of the stuff that comes with a game like this, and just play football the way you know how. And again, I draw on this, and we've been in this environment, and we learned from this environment, and we've succeeded a little bit, we failed a little bit, but as a program, we've done this in a couple of different stages, and so it's time to go do it again.
Isn't it interesting, when Marcel started at Florida, you told him before the game he was starting. If I asked you about Cassius being at the top of the scouting report, that maturity of Marcel Reed comes in, that here's the preparation that I need going into any Saturday, but obviously this Saturday with some more eyeballs here.
No, for sure, and he starts in the swamp, and that's the first place he makes a start, and that place was rolling that day, and obviously we had the two beehives at the end of last year, and the Saturday night game at South Carolina and the Saturday night game at Auburn, and both of those environments were unbelievably electric, and this one will be too. It's not to say that we're all locked in for this one, and it'll be the same challenges, but it helps having some experience in those environments.
Before we get to this break, Steve is asking, do you expect more from the tight ends this week because what the wide receivers are doing? You think Notre Dame will try to take away your wideouts, and that's including Ashton Bethel-Roman and Terry Bussey, as well as Mario and KC. Can the tight ends be a part of this game?
Yeah, I think that's always the chess match, right, is to try to identify what they're doing, how they're doing it, how they're trying to attack you. And, we're fortunate. We have a running game, too, that is really electric and really talented. We have some tight ends who have an ability to be pass catchers and do some effective things. And, we've got some wideouts now who can make explosive plays. And so it's why you have to be diverse on offense. It's why you can't be one-dimensional. It's why you have to be able to attack people a multitude of ways. And so you go into each game with a plan of what you think it will look like, and then you get ready to adjust, because that's what football is.
Our final segment of the Aggie Football Hour with Mike Elko. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. When we return to Rudy's, this is Aggie Football from Learfield. Rudy's is a proud sponsor of Aggie Football. Be sure to stop by your local Rudy's or Rudy's.com. For some real Texas barbecue, enjoy 100% oak smoked meats, delicious sides, and Rudy's signature sauce. A reminder that next Wednesday we will not be here. Mike, contractually obligated, he can only do 3 consecutive shows with me before he's got to take a break.
Yeah,
three's the number.
The bye week comes at a good time. We don't schedule the bye week in regards to our football team or our football season. What we try to do is figure out how many weeks in a row I can deal with Andrew. We try to get a couple during basketball season when Will can step in and fill in. And just try to keep everything balanced a little bit.
It's how we keep him here. Next Wednesday, though, will be the first Aggie Volleyball Hour. That will be from 6 to 7 next Wednesday. Jamie, and then the team, it will be a Meet the Team, very similar to what we did with the Aggie Soccer Hour with Coach G's team. That is next Wednesday from 6 to 7 here at Rudy's. We might be doing a show from Tuscany next Wednesday. If
There's a long conversation going on behind a pillar right now.
Absolutely.
That, we're not really sure what's going on. There's not a lot of paying attention to anything being said up here.
No, and she's just fine with it.
Yeah, the last time something like this happened, I wound up paying for a 10-day vacation in Antigua that I'm not sure when I'm going on. So we'll see how this ends for me.
Final question for you. You've used this word. How important will elevating be?
Yeah.
Not just Saturday, but this week.
No, I think it is. I mean, obviously, it's going to take a better effort from our team across the board. We're going to have to play better across the board to be successful in this one. But our kids are aware of that, and they're fully embracing that challenge. And I think the moment is what you get paid to step up for. And so, we have to go out there and we have to play more clean, more consistent football, both sides of the ball. We've got to continue to do the things that we've done really well to this point, and then we've got to clean up some of the things that haven't gone as well as we need them to. But it's been a good week of prep. I think the guys are excited. The guys are ready to go. And so let's get on the plane, put a football down, and let's go play some ball.
And you liked the way they handled the first couple of weeks, didn't you?
Yeah. And again, it's a challenge, and it's not to take anything away from our first 2 opponents, but you had an older veteran group, a group that's experienced, a group that's been through a lot of football together, that knew this game was on the horizon, right? And then we kind of addressed that in the post-game locker room talk that everybody knew this was when it was going to start. And so we had business to take care of. Obviously, we had to build and all of the things that we had to do. But I think everybody knew this was when the judgment was going to start and the season was going to start. And so I think our guys are just excited and ready to go up there and let it loose and see what happens.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a great Saturday night. Beat the hell out of Notre Dame, my friend.
Yeah, we're excited. We're excited to get up there and looking forward to it. Thanks again for everybody who came out tonight. We appreciate you always. Thanks, and gig 'em.
Here at Rudy's behind the mic, we thank you all for checking in as well and joining us all along the Texas A&M Sports Network. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate that. We will join you at 5:30 on Saturday. It's our Memorial Herman pregame show. Will Johnson goes one-on-one with Will Lee. You'll hear from the 12th man, Nana Boyde Owusu. Mike will give you his final thoughts as we get closer to that opening kick, the Aggies and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish at 6:30. Kevin Menchow is our engineer. Tony O'Neill's the producer of Aggie Football. I'm Andrew Monaco. We thank you so much for joining us. Thanks and gig 'em. This is Aggie Football from Learfield.
You've been listening to the Aggie Football Hour, brought to you by Capital Farm Credit, a leader in agricultural financing. Also brought to you in part by Coors Light, Mountain Cold Refreshment. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Visit rudys.com to find real Texas barbecue near you. Twisted Tea, hard iced tea for the 12th man. Please drink responsibly. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas. Through it all. And by Capital Farm Credit. Together, we're better. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Texas A&M Sports Network.